Hey, what's up guys, you good Gypsy, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my breakdown of the UDL playoff run that I had. This is a league that's run by Matty Brolick and Carson, so two of my really close mates, and this is going to be the last Gen 7 league that I participated in before the release of Gen 8, so that's pretty hype. And yeah, this league is full of really solid players. We've got standout competition in guys like Ice, really solid player, John W, of course. We got Kaz, who I teamed with on Crit City, Rob Jr, tournament mainstay there. We got guys like Blitz, who's really making a name for himself in the tour scene. Obviously Matty Brolick himself, Aki, my man Carson. So yeah, and plenty of others. We even got top tier boy, Big Seb, came back from his music grind and graced us with his presence. So that's pretty sick. But yeah, no, this is a lot of fun, this league, and it's a pretty massive league. As you can see here, this is going to be the doc. I'm just going to show you guys quickly. We've got two conferences. We've got the X conference and the Y conference, and both of these contain 12 players in each conference. So there's 24 players in the league all up. We had two separate drafts, and we had a couple of interconference games during the season, but for the most part the way it works is X conference has their own sort of playoffs, Y conference has their own, and the winner from each conference faces off in the penultimate final for those players who do make it to finals there. So pretty hype and really interesting way of doing the conferences. Matty and Carson also allowed a few mons that are usually borderline, usually Ubers, into the league, and that really gave this a kind of exciting edge to the season. So we had mons like Naganadel, Aegislash, Megaladias, you could say Mega Morwa, but usually Mega Morwa is allowed. And then other mons like Mega Metagross was a big one. That was a big kind of impact this season. I think for a lot of people felt that. Yeah, so definitely fun to mix it up. A really nice way to go out of Gen 7. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my playoff run. So I'm going to list my regular season games. I'm going to leave the replays of that down in the comments if you guys are interested. I had some crackers, some really good games versus week 1 I had Sebi VJC, really solid player. Then week 2 I faced top tier boy himself. Week 3 I faced Evan, who's coming off a really hot Clash of Kings performance. Week 4 I faced Nova. Week 5 I faced Tyler. And then I played Ice in week 6, and I played II in week 7, and I was supposed to play Illusion in week 8, but he was out of playoffs at that point. I think I was locked at number 1, and I think I was about to head off to travel. We never even arranged the match, so it was a null game there. So I had some really good regular season games, and I will leave them in the description below, like I said, if you guys want to check those out. But yeah, in this video we're going to be running over how playoffs went for me, and I'll just show you guys my team quickly. So I'm down here in the Y conference, and as you can see here, I'm just over here. I had first round Garchomp. I think I was near the wheel, and I decided to take first round Garchomp and Megamorph, Thundy T, Garchomp, some ones that I've really wanted to use for a while. Like Garchomp I've used quite extensively, but Megamorph I've never tried it. Thundy I is a mon that I love to use and I hate to face. It's just a real nightmare to prep for, given all its versatility. And yeah, I drafted a really fun team that I just, with mons that I wanted to use again. I hadn't used Metagross properly since NPL Season 5, which is years ago. Buzzwole is a mon that I've really fallen in love with in Gen 7. I think it's got incredible potential in the format. Pex is Pex, like Pex is amazing. Uxie and Blissey, nice little defensive core there. I always want to try out Blissey, and I'm glad I got a chance to use it. And then obviously Volibee and Quilladin, nice cheap point steals, probably some of the best for their price ranges. So yeah, it was a very fun team to use. Pretty versatile, a lot of natural bulk on it, a lot of natural offense, and some decent speed control in Thundy, Sucker Punch more, scuffed options in Chomp, and then obviously agility in like Metagross and stuff. Not the fastest team in the world by any means, but pretty decent speed control options with Trick Room support from Uxie as well. So it was a fun team to use for sure. And I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to jump into my first round of playoffs. I got the first round bye, so I was actually playing in, I guess you could say, like semi-finals is the equivalent. I'd just been traveling for a wedding across the other side of the country, so I came back and played my game, and that is against Parker here, who this man had a really solid season. He did really well. He was using Mega Metagross, as you see here. A really nice offensive core in Zera, Gren, Volk, really supporting Metagross there. Really powerful team. So we're going to jump right into that one, and yep. Alright guys, so we're back here with the build up against Parker, and like I mentioned, he did have the Mega Metagross on his team along with offensive threats like Zera, Greninja and Volk, so really powerful team offensively. Defensively, he doesn't have like the fattest team, but he's got a lot of mons with solid, just natural bulk. In terms of walls, he's got Aloe and Gliscor, which are pretty solid, but apart from that, he doesn't really have any like massive fat mons that really deter my offense. So we are bringing a pretty unconventional Maw set, so sub SD, no stab. Reason being, like, his offensive counterplay to his defensive counterplay to Mawile is more than likely Gliscor or Volcarona. Alomomola, yeah, Alomola's kind of sub fodder. I don't really see him bringing it as like a defensive counterplay to Maw, but if he does, then sub SD. It's kind of crazy how strong this mon is. Like +2 Stone Edge does something like 70 to defensive Aloe, which is insane considering the ease in which Maw can set up subs versus his team. Subs obviously really nice if he wants to use Volk as a defensive pivot into more fishing for flame body burns, pivoting in on play rough and then retaliating back with a fire attack. But yeah, sub obviously getting around that, and sub just being a really nice way to avoid skull burns from Aloe. It can ease prediction versus the Gliscor too. Sucker is really nice because once I get boosted, it just runs through his team. It's really hard for him to stop. Gren takes 1,000,000 from +2 Sucker and cannot do anything to kill me. So yeah, it's a pretty unconventional set, but it has a lot of potential this game. So next up we have Scarf Chomp. Standard Scarf Chomp, not really going to go into it too much. It doesn't outspeed Timid Volk because Timid Volk isn't really a bring versus Blissey and Spidef Pex, and even if he is, he needs HP Ice to do any sort of damage, which means that he's not like a safeguard set, which is the only thing that can get around Blissey. He's not like Psychic, which he needs to get around Pex. So it's a solid revenge to stuff like Gross and Zera as well, which are two big threats to the team. So just having this in the back is really nice. It's pretty self-explanatory. You guys know what Scarf Chomp does. Then I have Piper Pex, just standard Volk response. Also lets me get a Scald off versus Metagross in a pinch if I need to. The presence of the other mons on my team in Metagross and Buzzwole may also deter Parker from just clicking Zen Headbutt. He may expect me to go into either my Mawile for the Intimidate drop or my Metagross to resist the Zen Headbutt, and instead opt to hit me with something like T-Punch or EQ or something like that, maybe even Medium Mash if he's expecting Mawile. So that's pretty nice for me. I can get the burn if I need to, and T-Spikes are just really nice versus his team. He doesn't have a grounded poison, which means that he's going to be pressured to defog if he does have it. He more than likely will run defog if he brings Volk, because he doesn't want to have his defensive or offensive win condition, fucked over by rocks every turn. So I could see that for sure. But either way, Pex is just a really useful counterplay to a lot of that. Then we have my Metagross here. It's a defensive set, and it can help me with stuff like an offensive Zera, physically offensive Zera, Metagross. Predominantly, it can take a hit from Gliscor pretty easily and retaliate with Ice Punch. Just a really solid pivot into his Mega Metagross, which does kind of demand a lot of respect in the builder when you're facing it, because that thing is just absurd. And this works really nicely in conjunction with my defensive Buzzwole. So this is the Mega Metagross check counter, just bops that. Obviously, it helps me take on a bulk up Zera as well, which he really does need to break through Blissey. And to break through like a more specially orientated Uxie as well. So yeah, just a really solid mon. I can roost up on Zens and take around 50-60 from Zens and counter if I need to. EQ and Ice Punch there for the Gliscor and the Zera respectively. And then last we have my Thundy here. So sub Nasty Plot, really nice here. He doesn't really have a lot of counterplay to Thundy apart from Zera, which is going to be getting poisoned by the T-Spikes if I can keep those up, and is taken on pretty well by my Buzzwole and my Metagross. So yeah, pretty fun team. We're going to pause it here and jump to the replay and see how it went. Alright guys, so we're back here with the game up against Parker, and as you can see, he's opted not to bring the Volcarona or the Alomomola, which were two mons that I thought definitely could come and were likely to come to this game, but instead bringing the Gliscor and the Comfy, which I didn't really expect to come. But yeah, that kind of implies that he's opted to go for a more of an offensive approach, potentially rocks on Gliscor with them being able to support his 3 main offensive win conditions. Decidueye might be more of a defensive bring here, as well as Comfy, we'll have to see, but no Volcarona really does open up my Mawile to be a bit more expendable this game. I can use it in potentially more of a defensive role against the Zera and the Metagross, and be a bit more reckless with not needing to clip sub as much, can kind of throw off stone edges through the game if I need to. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to have to weaken down his Comfy and his Gliscor for my Garchomp to really win in the endgame, but if I can do that, it's looking really nice. So we're going to jump right into it. He is going to lead off with his Greninja as I lead off with my Pex. I'm going to Skull turn 1, not letting him taunt me, as taunt lead Gren is one of the best ways to prevent T-Spikes from getting up, as well as getting up your own spikes or just proceeding to work up. So yeah, that's a really solid potential option for him there, but he does choose to switch out into his Decidueye, and he's going to get burnt by the Scald, which is really nice for me. Also, I think, as my man Park is going to whip out the Spirit Shackle, which kind of understandable why he'd have that. But it's when he whips out the Curse, that's when I'm like, damn. So this is a neat set. So the fact that he had that he didn't bring Volt allowed me to be a bit more reckless with my Pex. Obviously, I could have just switched out into something like Mawile or Thundy or something on the Spirit Shackle, but I choose to get up my T-Spikes instead, as those really are going to pressure his team immensely in this game. The fact that he doesn't have Volk means that he probably doesn't have Defog, which means that T-Spike's going to be more of a pain, so it's a worthy exchange here. I'm going to speed up these turns, because this is going to go on for about 25 turns or so. He's just eventually going to stall out my Pex and force it to lose all of its recovers, and this is a really neat set. I really like this set by Parker. Obviously, it's not something you want to face, but it's you cannot question the creativity of it at all. So really nice set. But what this tells me is that his Decidueye is Rest, Spirit Shackle, Curse. Last move might be Leaf Blade. Last move might be something like Toxic potentially. But what it tells me is that he doesn't have boosting options. He could be like SD. Sure, he could be SD Spirit Shackle. I feel like he would have gone for that by now, but that would leave him completely walled by Chansey. So we're gonna have to see. This is going to allow me to go into my Mawile here, so I'm going to pause it and slow it right down again. So I'm going to go for the SD here, as he does go for the Z Feather Dance, which is an interesting option. So his Z move is Z Feather Dance, and that's going to lower my attack by 2 and raise his defense by 1. So that, in conjunction with Trapping and Curse, is just a really brilliant set by Parker. Like, really cool. Haven't seen anyone do that on Decidueye yet, so really creative use of it there. But that's all good for me, because what it tells me is that I can boost up, I can put this Decidueye into a range of health where he has to rest up, and I can take advantage of that by switching out into my Thundy, because my Mawile is not trapped at this point. So I'm going to go to Thundy here, as he is going to rest up, and this is going to allow me to nasty plot up. Like I said, T-Spikes are up on the field, so if he does want to switch out into a grounded Mon, he's going to be facing getting Toxic, which is really nice. Like, this Comfy over the long term is going to be getting whittled down immensely by the Toxic. I'm going to choose a sub here, as I expect him to potentially go out into a Zera Aura, and this gives me a free turn of leverage behind this sub, being able to get back a little bit more lefties, stall out more of his HP with Toxic, as he is going to break my Plasma Fist here. I'm just going to get a nice 46% off with the Hidden Power Ice here. It's going to be whittling him down, so if I can remove Gren and Zera from this game, then yeah, he has nothing for Nasty Plot Thundy. So I'm going to throw up my rocks here, as he does go for the Fire Punch. Does a nice amount, revealing that he is something like Adamant E-Belt on his Zera Aura. I know he's going to go into his Greninja here. I'm just going to go for Protect. I don't expect him to spike here. I expect him to attack more than anything. I've lost all my water resists at this point, so it is in his interest to attack. And I'm just going to go into more here, just pivoting in on the Dark Pulse and keeping this Gren lower with the Sucker Punch. Like I said, I'm thinking of that Thundy endgame, and removing Gren is going to be key for that. So getting that chip is really important. He's only got one more Rock Switch in. So here I'm going to go into my Chomp, and you see I'm going to miss Aqua Tail here. So I'm Scarf Chomp, like I said. The reason I go for Aqua Tail is it hits his Gliscor, it hits his Comfy for a solid amount of damage. Decidueye can't capitalize on coming in. It's going to take Rocks, Aqua Tail, and then it's going to have to sleep for 2 turns, so I can take advantage of that by going to my Thundy, setting up a nasty plot. And if he wants to make a double, expecting me to double, Thundy capitalizes on everything that he could go into. So all around Aqua Tower was a really good play for me to make there. Unfortunately we do miss, and this actually results in him getting a torrented boosted Scald off and then burning me. So you could argue Aqua Tower wasn't actually the best play there, just going for Dragon Claw and risking, I don't even think I had Dragon Claw in this set, I'm not sure. No, I don't think I did. I think I was EQ, Outrage, Dragon Claw and Toxic. EQ, Outrage, Aqua Tower and Toxic, I think, on this set. But anyway, had he gone Comfy, obviously he would have been immune to the Outrage, and had he gone Gross, he would have taken the Outrage and then killed me back. So Aqua Tower was justified in my mind anyway, but unfortunately we do miss and we get burnt, which is really going to hurt Chomp in this end game. I can still use it though as either fodder or a last ditch source of chip damage versus something if I can weaken everything in range of burnt Chomp. I can still potentially win with Chomp here, but he's going to go into his Metagross here, and I'm going to pivot into my Metagross on the either Zen, a Mash, or Ice Punch, and then I'm going to pivot out to my Buzzwole as he chooses sets up Rocks there and reveals EQ. So he's Rocks, EQ, probably dual stab, I'm going to say. So he's going to go for the Zen Headbutt here, as I do go for the Roost this turn. Unfortunately, he's going to crit me there, which is going to do way more than it should have. So I'm going to have to switch my Buzzwole out here, because Buzzwole is, again, like a really nice check to his Gliscor, and I can fire off Ice Punches versus his team pretty freely. If I can get my Buzzwole nice and healthy again, which I can versus his Decidueye and his Gliscor, I'll be in a good spot with it. So I'm going to go into my Metagross on the Zen and protect up, getting out of range of EQ, and I know I can take an EQ pretty nicely actually. Kind of weird, my EQ did more than his, and he's Mega, so that's pretty funny, but he's going to bring in his Gliscor here, as I do just go for the Protect, and he doesn't show Toxic Orb, so he's more than likely Yachi based on how weak his team is to Thundy, and he's going to reveal the Yachi, so he's more than likely Acro on this set, so it was really useful that I did break his Yachi Berry there, as that could have been a real issue if I hadn't. So going to go into my Thundy, take him out here with a Hidden Power Ice. Thundy is looking like a menace in this endgame now. I'm getting back up over half, and this turn he's in a tough spot. If he Draining Kisses and I get to +2, he's going to die with Toxic damage. He's going to die the following turn with Toxic damage and taking a +2 T-Bolt, and that's actually going to make Parker realizes this. He's going to think more of like a long-term goal and go for the Aromatherapy, trying to heal up his Decidueye in the hopes that it can take a Hidden Power Ice, like a +2 or +3 Hidden Power Ice from my Thundy, and kill me with Spirit Shackle, because it will be woken up after the Aromatherapy. But so instead of going for Draining Kiss, he's going to opt to Aromatherapy. Draining Kiss was a 3-hit KO from that point anyway, so I would be able to get up to at least +3 and take him out. Get up to at least +2, I should say. If he Draining Kissed the first turn whilst he was still poisoned, he would have remained poisoned. He'd be taking the Toxic chip damage worse each turn and then taking a boosted T-Bolt, so his Comfy would have gone down regardless. But he does choose to Aromatherapy first. I definitely understand where he was coming from in it. Some people calling it a choke. I disagree. I get why we actually chatted after the game, and I totally agree with his reasoning, but I guess you could argue he could have gone for the crit, so that's something to think about. But I think in Parker's mind, the likelihood that of that happening was a lot lower than his Decidueye being able to live a hit, assuming that like I'm not necessarily max special attack based on the damage that he saw his Zero take. But after the rocks, I'm at +3. This Decidueye is going to get cooked by the Hidden Power Ice, and yeah, Metagross is going to come in here and drop to the T-Bolt. So that was a fun game, a fun semi-finals game versus Parker. Definitely congrats on the really good season. He had a dominant season with Metagross and this powerful offensive team. So that was semi-finals. Matty Brolick, my boy, ended up winning his semi-finals game, so we're going to go on to face him in the finals of the Y Conference. So I'm going to pause it and we're going to get into the builder for that one. Alright, so we're back here with the team builder versus Matty. And before we jump into the team I'm bringing, Matty has a pretty insane team. He's got Nugget and Dell, he's got Superior, Zapdos, Lucario, Mega Matty, Klefki, Mesprit, Drapion, Seismitoad and Camerupt. Mesprit and Camerupt are also his Z users, so he's got a pretty powerful offensive team. It's a bit of an unorthodox, like Matty style team, but As usual, Matty finds a way to win consistently with this team. He's got a ton of powerful offense. His defensive, I guess, mons on his team are kind of lackluster, but he makes up for that with screen support, which is something that he's brought all season long, pretty much. He's really taken advantage of Clef Key being able to set up those priority screens with Light Clay, and taking advantage of the defensive boosts that it provides for his offensive threats like Naga and Serp to really just kind of clean up. Like, I've seen him bring SD Lucario with screens, I've seen him bring Scarf Serp as a win con a lot of the time with screens, Nasty Plot Naga with like Yachi berries and like super berries. It's pretty impressive how Matty's used the screens approach to such success. And it's not as though people like aren't aware he's doing this. Like, there could be more prep, people could be, you know, bringing a lot of brick break defog, but he always manages to find a way to make it work. So he's used this team really well, and I do expect the potential of screens to come. I've got to be prepared for screens to come, and obviously got to be prepared for his offense, namely the Naga and the Medi, which are the two biggest threats to the team. Superior definitely up there in terms of threat. Like, I've got counterplay to it, but Serp's still a bit of a nuisance with Taunt and Leaf Storm and Leech Seed. So there are ways that Serp can be built to get around the counterplay that I do have on my team to it. But namely, like I said, the Medicham and the Naga are the two massive offensive threats that I'm concerned about. So we're going to jump into the build that we have here. Now, this is a pretty strange Morwell set. Stockpile Pass is kind of a really unique way of getting around Matty's potential to bring screens. If he does bring screens, I'm expecting him to pass, to set up screens, then go into something like Naga, go into something like Medi and start bulking up, go into something like potentially SD or Nasty Pot Lucario. But if I can stockpile pass early, it gives me the wriggle room to play around screens and to actually surpass the defensive boosts that screens provide with something like Nasty Plot Thunderous, given that I do have the defense boosts that stockpile provide. And I'll get into that later, because Nasty Plot Thunder is my main win condition on this team. But before we get into that, we're going to go through a few more mons first. But essentially, this stockpile into the other setup sweepers on my team is going to be really appreciated. I can also Swords Dance Pass into both my Metagrow Seer and my Scarf Boswell, which are two mons that really appreciate the Swords Dance. But yeah, this Morwell it also works pretty nicely as a defensive pivot into Medi, as Medi can't kill my Morwell and I can always kill him back with a Play Off. I do have the Intimidate there. Yeah, it's just a really useful mon to have on the team. Its SpDef investment allows me to take like something like 4 Heat Waves from Zapdos, so at +1 SpDef. So it just really allows me to accumulate the stockpile boosts as best as I can, and then pass them off to something else on the team. Then we have Calm Mind Blissey. Now I was thinking to myself, man, like, Subseed Serp is a real pain. That mon has the potential to get round my defensive counterplay, and typically Subseed Serp is the way that Serp bypasses conventional checks to most Serp sets, like offensive Serp sets. It's able to get around fat mons that can take boosted Leaf Storms with sub Leech Seed. So the beauty of Calm Mind Hyper Voice is obviously bypassing the sub. He can't boost his special defense, whilst I can boost my special attack and my special defense. And with this investment, the calc for +6 Leaf Storm versus neutral Blissey compared to +1 Blissey is just insane. Like, the difference is, it blew me away when I was toying around with this set. But yeah, obviously it has the potential to provide me a nice kind of way of getting around Subseed Serp, which makes sense versus me. And it also does help me versus Naga and UDL as well, which could be an issue if he's got screens and a Super Berry with Nasty Plot. That could punish its way through my Blissey. He'd need Life Orb plus Nasty Plot to actually break Blissey, because Blissey takes +6 Dracos, even with a plate, I'm pretty sure. He'd need Life Orb to actually guarantee the kill. But the fact that I'll have Calm Mind on this set, I can always bring it in, Calm Mind up, and yeah, I think Naga and UDL is 2 carried at +1 or +2 with Hyper Voice. That's pretty great. Healing Wish obviously there is just nice utility to bring something back, like maybe bring my Morwell back, maybe bring my Thundy back, or one of my other 2 offensive win conditions. And yeah, probably the most proud of a Blissey set that I've come up with so far. So then we've got a weakness policy Metagross. Nothing too crazy about this set, but it is a really nice offensive win condition in this game. I noticed when Matty was prepping for Mega Metagross in his match, I think during the regular season, I was actually testing versus him, and I noticed, man, this mod actually tears up Matty's team. And I knew Matty would be prepared for Metagross in this game because he knows that I know that Metagross is great versus him, but nonetheless, this is a great set here, and with stockpile boosts, I can proc my weakness policy far more effectively. I can get an agility up, a rock polish up if I need to, but that just between my dual coverage with Iron Head and Zen Headbutt, it's just going to be a really nice way of breaking down his team. Bullet Punch is useful for the Naga if I need a last ditch hit off on that. Adamant Metagross hits pretty hard, so yeah, it's useful in that regard. It also helps me if I'm at +2 speed versus like a Scarf Naga, which will outspeed me. So then I've got Scarfed Buzzwole, amazing versus his team. Like, he has Zapdos, of course, and if I can predict that correctly and catch him with a Stone Edge or an Ice Punch, it's gonna be big. But if I can weaken or remove the Zapdos, this on paper this Buzzwole is just amazing here. If I can pass a Swords Dance to it, then yeah, Matty's gonna be in trouble for sure. Here we have probably the set of the match. Something that I'm really happy with here. It's a nasty plot Rest Thundy, as you can see with the chest though, but this really appreciates receiving those stockpile boosts because Thundy's speed tier here is amazing. It outspeeds everything bar the Naga and the Serp. Serp gets blown away by Hidden Power Flying. Naga can't kill me after a stockpile boost, and I do have the rest to get back up to full health if I'm weakened. By the time Naga comes in, perhaps he wants to sacrifice a mon to weaken down Thundy and put it in guaranteed range of Naga, even with stockpile boosts. I can always use Pranks to rest, get up to full, make him waste his Draco, and then get a few more kills with Thundy, or even just sweep the rest of the game. And then lastly, I have a defensive Uxie. This Uxie is, yeah, just a standard Medi pivot and a great spreader of paralysis versus stuff like Naga and Serp. I always break Serp sub with U-turn, which gives me a safe switch into my Scarf Buzzwole, which can always kill it with Leech Life. So yeah, that is going to be the team. I'm pretty happy with what I've brought. I'm feeling good going into this. I know Matty is an amazing builder and player. I've played him many times, and no doubt he's going to bring a fantastic team. So I'm going to pause it here and jump into the game. Alright, so we're here with a game versus Matty, and as you can see, he's not brought the Superior or the Zapdos. So those were 2 mons, as well as the Klefki. So those were 3 mons, I should say, that I wasn't really expecting to be benched. The Zapdos, I felt, was probably his best way of checking my Buzzwole, on paper anyway. And his Klefki, I thought, was definitely a strategy that he may want to rely on here in playoffs. But also, Matty's a really smart guy. He knows that I know he loves screens, so I think that he's prepped in such a way that he can catch me expecting screens to come, which could potentially be his approach here. So no Superior. I kind of get, because like Serp wasn't amazing, but it was still annoying. It means my Blissey is going to be less required here in this game. I can use it more as a pivot into Naga if I need to, and potentially like a late game win condition if I can take care of Medi early. But certainly, like, the lack of Serp means that Blissey isn't as needed in that especially defensive role. I can use it as a healing Wish Abuser for some of my offense if I need to. So the game plan remains the same. Stockpile passing with more, getting rocks up early if I can, and winning with Thundy, Gross, or my Buzzwole. So we're going to jump into it. I'm going to lead Uxie as he leads off with his Mesprit here. Turn 1, he is just going to U-turn out, and that reveals that he is timid on his Uxie, and he's faster than me, and he's timid, so, well, he's not attack boosting, that is, so chances are he is a Scarfed Uxie, Scarf Mesprit, as my Uxie naturally outspeeds. So that's good information to have. Now he brings in his Lucario, which is an interesting play. Like, obviously physical Lucario doesn't have any business coming in on Uxie. I can just U-turn out if he wants to set up. It's kind of weird to come in if you just want to set up. In the face of Uxie, I could be T-Wave, I could be just U-turn out into my Buzzwole, who could just destroy physical Lucario. So chances are he is special, but even so, like, if I just go hard into Blissey and he goes for CC or he sets up, like, that's just it's not going to be a fun time. So I'm going to U-turn out here as he goes for the Specs Flash Cannon, and this was brilliant prep. This not only weakens my Uxie for his Medicham, which was his game plan, but it also catches me going into my Buzzwole expecting like a crunch or something, or just wanting to switch into a fat Fizz Death wall. Flash Cannon has that surprise factor, and this is what I'm talking about. I think Matty had this mindset going in that he wanted to stray from his usual screen setup approach and opt for something more a bit unconventional to really, you know, take me off guard. And Specs Flash Cannon, I saw that there, I just clapped like that. That's great prep, and I figured there, like, his mentality was that he wanted to weaken my Uxie for his Medi in the back. So now I'm going to bring in my Buzzwole. Obviously, I'm bringing in Buzzwole versus Specs Flash Cannon. I'm clearly scarfed, or I'm just bluffing like a king, so we'll have to find out. But he's going to go into his Medicham on my Drain Punch. It should do about 30, it does 20. So this man's max Medi, and I'm thinking, okay, alright. So he's probably bulk up, recover based on that damage. I've used defensive Medi before, and it's a lot of fun to use. It's a fantastic set. I think it's actually even better than offensive Medi, which sounds ridiculous, but so many teams have fat psychics with Rocky Helmet that can take advantage of offensive Medi and offensive threats that can outpace it and threaten it offensively. But defensive Medi, like fat Medi with boosting options, that's a different beast. Like that is a lot tougher to take down. So when I see that, that kind of triggers that thought in my mind, and really just reinforces how important Thunderous is going to be in this game. Because if this Medi starts rolling with bulk ups, then it's gonna be a huge threat. So I'm gonna switch out here. Gonna go out into my Uxie as he just goes for the high jump kick. Great play as well, catching Uxie, knowing that going for Zen would be a wasted turn. It also caught Metagross as well, of course, and my Mawile. So fair play, as he is just gonna take me out here with another HJK. Uxie's done its job. It's set up rocks. It's gained information on the Medi. Would have liked it to got a T-Wave off versus something, but we'll take it. So I'm going to bring in Mawile here, and instead of knocking this thing out with play rough, Matty is not going to sack this. Like, I know 100% Matty is not sacking this one. He's got counterplay to Mawile in. He's brought his camera up, which is like his best switch in to my Mawile. Granted, it doesn't want to. It'll die switching in on rocks and taking a focus punch. It's crazy how strong offensive Mawile is, but I can use this as the opportune time to set up my stockpile, and he is going to go hard into his Lucario. Actually, I think he made this play in the attempt to catch me if I was a SD variant or something like that, as he would be able to threaten me with a Specs Focus Blast or Specs Flash Cannon. Whereas if he goes hard into his camera up and ISD, then I get a kill, and unless he's like scarf camera up to something or he's creeping me, I feel like Lucario was a nice offensive play, and it actually worked out better for him than if he'd gone into his defensive check to Mawile, as with stockpile boost I can take hits with ease from camera up. So this forces me to baton pass now, because if I risk him going for Specs Focus Blast, it will 2-hit KO me after the second stockpile boost, and I can't risk that. I want to pass at least one boost to my Thundy. Granted, he's got to hit 2, but it's in his, well, it's not in his favor to hit 2. It's in his favor to hit 1. But if he does hit another one, then it's gonna be bleak. So I'm gonna pass it off to my Thundy here as he does hit 1. It does 54%. So actually, obviously, I would have lived another. No, I wouldn't have lived another because he would have outsped. Yeah. So yeah, no, I stand by that play. I'm going to go into my Thundy here, and this turn I am going to set up a nasty plot. So I've got the big man inside, Big Tempest, he is inside, and I'm going to set up a nasty plot here, as his Mesprit is going to just chip me down. He is scarfed like I expected from turn 1, and he's just going to get some nice chip on me with the Psychic. But this is kind of how I thought he'd play this, trying to get me into range of Naga, and this is really nice because I'm at +2. His Naga is forced to go for Draco here. He doesn't know if I'm Hidden Power Ice. He doesn't know what my Hidden Power is. Hidden Power Ice would obviously take out Naga at 88%. Hidden Power Flying does around 60 to 70, does a lot. But more importantly, he is going to obviously lower his special attack with the Draco, and with my boosted SpDef the following turn, I'm going to easily take another. So I'm going to go for rest this turn, as he is going to fire off the Draco. I'm rest up, he's going to fire off the Draco, then I'm going to get another kill with Thundi. But unfortunately, Matty is going to crit me here with the Draco, and that is, yeah, you hate to see that happen. That was tough, because yeah, Thundi was looking really to just wrap this game up at that point. It was going to be really tough for him to overcome Thundi, but it does happen, and that is Mon. So he is going to get the speed boost here, and I'm going to send him my Metagross. If he attacks me with a fire move and activates my weakness policy, then that's amazing. But he is going to make the smart play of just going for the -2 Draco, losing his Naga, but in the process not activating my weakness policy. So he's now going to go into his Camel, and I'm going to switch hard out to my Blissey. I'm thinking this is probably just going to set up rocks, but as you see, this man busts out the Z move, and my Blissey lives on 1, so that's wild. So this was ZEQ Camel, and that's really nice. So ZEQ, the reasoning behind it, not wanting to get knocked off by more, reduces the power of knockoff and gives him a guaranteed way of knocking out like neutral Mawile. I think with the Intimidate and the Stockpile I would have lived one, but like obviously he wouldn't have expected Stockpile. ZEQ was a really nice bring there. So Blissey is going to live. I'm going to get the Healing Wish off and revive my Maw back up to a nice amount of health, and now I'm going to start stockpiling up, and we're going to see what this Camerupt has to throw at me. So he's going to go for the Overheat. It does 61 at +1 SpDef, and now he's going to switch out to Lucario. We both deliberated on this turn for quite a long time, but in the end, he kind of needed to go Lucario to prevent me from stockpiling further. I could have baton passed. I could have hard play roughed, expecting Medi, which was another play that he could have made, but at this point Lucario is more expendable than his Medicham. His Medicham is his path to victory as he sees it at this stage. So I'm going to baton pass here out into my Metagross, and this turn he is going to go for the Focus Blast and miss, which is nice for me because obviously it's obviously nice, you know, after the Thundi shenanigans. But he's going to miss with his Focus Blast. It wouldn't have knocked me out at +1 SpDef, but it would have done a nice chunk anyway. But I'm going to knock him out here with a Bullet Punch. He's now going to bring in his Medicham here, and I am just going to go for the Iron Head, I believe, as he does reveal Bulk Up. So yeah, fantastic set by Matty. But we are going to get a crit. We are going to get a big crit, and that crit is that crit, much like the crit on Thundi, is game defining. That without the crit, it would have bounced, like it would have absolutely bounced off Matty at +1 defense. He would have been able to recover up and 1v1 my Metagross. So that was a very tough turn for Matty. But yeah, this game was a bit of a shocker all around, as I'm gonna miss Zen here, and he's gonna hit me with the Overheat, activate my weakness policy, and this turn I'm just gonna not risk anything, just go for the Iron Head, get that guaranteed damage, put him in range of Drain Punch from Buzzwole, and wrap the game up with Scarf Buzzwole. So yeah, this was an interesting one for sure. Not the way either of us wanted it to go. I think we both would have much rather had it been a clean one, but yeah, you can't always get that, unfortunately, in the game. So had things gone differently, it would have been interesting to see how it played out. But in this end game, Buzzwole is just going to wrap it up with the Drain Punch, and yeah, Camel's going to come in here and die to the Drain Punch here. So that is my finals game in the Y Conference against Matty. Great game to Matty. I think he brought a fantastic team, straying away from his screens approach and bringing a impact team with Specs Lucario, Life Orb Naga, and a defensive Medi, which was just a really great bring versus me. So I think he played it really well, and yeah, happy with the team I brought too. I think Thundi was an amazing bring here with Stockpile Maw, but unfortunately the game went the way it did, so not much to be done about that. But yeah, congrats to Matty for a killer season. He obviously had a really dominant season too. I think he was like 7-1 or something like that. He had a really good season. And oh yeah, no, at this point in this season, actually, this was finals in the Y Conference, but I was undefeated up until this point, apart from like the Illusion game, which we just never played. Matty was also undefeated apart from a meme game I think he had with I think. So, which, you know, didn't really count towards anything. I think at that point they were both locked for playoffs and they were just playing for fun. But this was sort of reminiscent of our Week 8 game in NPL Season 5, I think it was. We were both undefeated, so it was one of those games. Unfortunately, it was a bit messy, so it was fun at the time, but yeah, left a bad taste in the mouth for sure afterwards. But we had a good chat. We definitely appreciated the game nonetheless. So that's going to be it for my finals game in the Y Conference. I'm going to move over to the finals, final of the UDL in just a second with the team builder. Alright guys, so we're back here with finals of the UDL, and in this one, we're going to be facing off against the one and only self-proclaimed GOAT. We got Aki VGC. So Aki has a crazy team. It's not that crazy. Like, he doesn't have some crazy Ubersmon like Naga or AG or Megaladi or stuff like that. But it's a very Aki team. He's got a lot of offensive threats. So he's got Mega Gallade, Taunty, one of the best ones in the format in my opinion. Pharaoh, Mamo, another big Aki staple. Toxapex, so he obviously watches my vids. Volcarona, another one I taught him to use. Crocodile, he's got Buffalant, Comfy, and Electric, with his Z move uses being Torn and Buffalant. So he's got a really nice team, and he's had a lot of success with it. He's got a lot of momentum, and he's got, with Torn and Comfy, he's got really nice hazard support with Pharaoh, Pex, Mamo, Crook. He's got his removal with Torn, Comfy, and I guess you could say Volcarona, but regardless, he's had a really strong season, and the way his team is designed, he doesn't have like a ton of versatility. Like, the Mons themselves don't have like 100 different sets they can run, but what they can run very effectively, and he does have some versatility on Mons like Torn, Gallade, stuff like Volk, and he's used them all very well. So it's looking to be a really interesting finals, and we're going to run over the team that I've brought for this one. So we have Spidef Pex, shout out to Tool's new album, by the way, for all these nicknames. But yeah, so we got Spidef Pex, and this is mainly here as a Torn response, Torn and Volk response, essentially. It can also help me with stuff like Comfy. Comfy's annoying. It'll probably have Taunt if it's a Carmine set, but having Scald and Toxic is just really useful in general. Spreading Scalds, his team really does not appreciate Scalds. He has his own Toxapex, which isn't going to want to get scalded. If it does, then it's going to get burnt, and it's going to be easier for my team to chip it down. Again, Pharaoh, like removing its lefties, which I have knockoff on my team, is going to be really nice in conjunction with Scald. Pretty standard pex, but useful nonetheless. Then we have a Yachi Berry Thundy, so no setup this week, opting instead for the 4 attacks, and with the Yachi Berry I am a pretty nice check to stuff like Gallade, Mamoswine. I can take a hit from if I need to in a pinch. I can take a shard pretty nicely and do huge damage with Grassknot. Grassknot, Oko's offensive Mamo, and if he's a bulkier variant, like a max HP variant, all I need is a bit of chip on that thing to put it in range, so that's really useful. Incinerate, so I don't have to miss versus Pharaoh, and I can potentially pop like an Oka Berry on it, which is going to be which would be nice. I don't actually think I've got other fire coverage on the team. I opted for no fire fang on my Morwell, I'm pretty sure, so but it does mean I don't have to miss versus Pharaoh, and I can get guaranteed hit off on something if he's pivoting around Thundy, which I do expect him to do. That's typically how Aki plays, pivoting around offensive threats like Thundy. Then I've got a really nice sub lefties, sub offensive Buzzwole though. Like Aki's team with Pharaoh, Pex, Comfy, Volcarona, all pretty nice switch-ins to Buzzwole, all pretty nice switch-ins to one of Buzzwole's stabs. But the nice thing about sub is that those passive kind of mons like Pharaoh and Pex really just invite me to set up a sub and start going to work. Also on stuff like Mamo that isn't like Life Orb HP flying, I can set up a sub, and that really eases prediction with his flying types that can come in and check Buzzwole with like Torn and his Volcarona if he does bring it. I can sub up and click Stone Edge. Stone Edge blows back Torn. Like max HP variants get destroyed with Rocks Up, so that's really useful to have just that potential, that Torn killing potential on my Buzzwole. So Then we have Garchomp here. I am Spit F, I'm like max Spit F, and this is mainly as a backup response to his Volcarona. I expect my pecs might be stretched too thin between Torn, his own pecs, his Volk, his Comfy. It could be trapped. There are a few mons on his team that have block and could potentially trap it. So having a secondary means of checking his Volcarona is going to be key. And this also lets me take on his Torn better, because like I said, if something happens to Pex, having this in the back to check Torn is really useful. With Z Stone Edge, I can get around, I can just blow back his Torn T, I can blow back Volk if I'm burnt, and obviously SD allows me to boost past the burn, and yeah, SD Edgequake is just amazing versus his team. He doesn't have great counterplay to it at all, so that's really nice for me. And then we have my FizzDef Uxie, which is also Z, so I'm rocking double Z, and this is a strategy that I don't often recommend, but it can be useful in situations like this where Uxie appreciates not having an item to be knocked off, and it also appreciates having the flexibility to run Z Memento if I need to on this team, to bring back something else and provide a setup opportunity for something, or just a revenge killing opportunity for something in the team. And I haven't, you know, needed to use my Z Stone Edge on Chomp or my Z Stealth Rocks, which is a kind of niche example, but yeah, just having that like flexibility between the two Z move options here is really nice. Yawn plus U-turn is big. Yawn plus U-turn gives me momentum mainly into my my sub Buzzwole, which is the big threat here, as well as my Thundy. And yeah, Foul Play, just obviously standard for the Gallade and the Mamo. So lastly, we have my Mawile, and this is a really nice set here. I'm fat enough to take hits from Gallade, I can take hits from Torn, I can take hits from anything bar Mamo or the Volk, and like Life Orb Mamo, I can't live an EQ from, I don't think, but maybe I could, I'm not sure with the Intimidate, but either way, this 3 attacks SD variant is really nice. SD knock mercs both Pharaoh and Pex, it does huge damage, and I expect at least Pex to be like to have some Spit F to help take a hit from Thundy. I expect Pharaoh to have some degree of Spit F on it, and yeah, just SD knock, and with SD Sucker, obviously, just the two go hand in hand, and Play Rough just there for just pretty spammable stab versus his team. So I'm expecting something out of the box from Aki. I know he likes to mix it up and bring really unconventional styles, and when he's playing someone like me, someone he knows really well, we both know each other's styles very well, he tends to mix it up, I tend to mix it up, and yeah, it should make for a great game. So I'm going to pause it here, and we're going to jump into the finals of the UDL and see how it all went down. Alrighty, so here we are with finals, and Aki's not chosen to bring the Ferrothorn or the Crook, which is interesting. The other ones I didn't really expect to come, but I thought Pharaoh could make an appearance here, as well as Crook over potentially Volk and Comfy. Apart from that, he's brought the mons that I expected. I'm thinking Comfy's going to be defensive counterplay to Buzzwole and my Garchomp, as Garchomp just destroys this guy. Like, look how good SD Z offensive Chomp is here, let alone my Spit F variant, which helps me versus these two here. So I'm thinking Comfy's going to have some sort of defensive utility role. Could even be Air Balloon to switch into, you know, guarantee switch into Chomp. But it's more likely going to be some sort of defensive variant. Mamo is probably going to be the offensive check to Thundy, as Thundy just destroys his team, and also checking my Chomp. Z move wise, his Z move access is limited to Torn on this 6, so I'm really expecting Torn to have Defog for the Volcarona, potentially double Defog along with Comfy, Defog, Hurricane, potentially Heatwave, and Taunt, Knock, U-turn. Those are the moves I expect on this Torn, as I'm pretty sure he's going to have Defog, which is going to play into a few things in this early game. So the Volcarona, like I said, it could be offensive, it could be defensive, because he's very, very weak to Mawile without a defensive Volk, so chances are he's brought a fatter Volk. I know Aki, even on his offensive variants of Volk, tends to favour a lot of bulk investment, which is, in my opinion, like some of the best ways to build a Volk anyway. So but yeah, Gallade is more than likely going to be just an offensive set here, so we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to lead Thundy, as I do expect. I'm going to lead Uxie, sorry, as I do expect the Mamo lead or the Torn lead. If he leads Torn, I just U-turn straight up. I'm not gonna play around with him having U-turn. If he leads Mamo, then I foul play. Getting chip on that puts him in guaranteed range of my grass knot from my Thundy, but he's gonna lead Torn, which is overall a fine play on his side. I don't know why the sprite isn't loading, but he's gonna go for U-turn, as I do just U-turn out into my Thundy here. And this turn I'm gonna click he's gonna click Icy Wind, and this is really interesting. So he's gonna go for Icy Wind. I'm gonna reveal it to be Yachi. I'm gonna show my I am Defiant here, which is nice. I choose to run Defiant over Prankster. Neither of the abilities really matter, but Defiant gives me the illusion that I'm mixed, and that could influence the way he plays around Thundy. So he's going to go for Icy Wind, and this is interesting. Like, I found out a couple of turns later that he was Wakanberry on his Torn. I really did expect Z here, because Z is so nice. It's so useful on Torn. Like, having that Z, like Taunt, Hurricane, plus Z Hurricane is a really nice way of getting around Pex, because you can prevent me from recovering. You can Hurricane and then not have to risk hitting another Hurricane and just use the Z move. And it's also a really nice offensive check to stuff like to Garchomp. But he instead has opted to bring a Wakan variant, which, I don't know, it kind of surprised me. But anyway, I think he just felt Thundy was that much of a threat that it required it on his Taunt. So this turn, I'm expecting that he made that play. He's going to switch out again, not wanting to risk. Like, whilst he will live with a Wakan Berry, he's going to be very weakened. And so this turn, I'm going to go for Grass Knot, as he actually clicks Icy Wind again. And this turn, he is going to eat up the Grass Knot. It's going to do very little. That one kind of surprised me. The first one, I understand. That one, I was kind of like, that was kind of like a bit too risky, but it worked out. It worked out anyway. So he's going to go into Memo here as I go hard into my Toxapex, and I know that Aki here is not going to. He's not going to stay in. He's not going to stay in an EQ. He sees Buzzwole in the back. He sees Uxie in the back. This man's either setting up rocks. He's clicking Icicle Crash, or he's switching, covering all bases, as my man would say. And he's going to go out into his Taunt here as I just fire off the Scald, and I'm going to get the burn on this. So that's really nice. Going to get that nice chip. Would have preferred a Toxic, but I'll take a burn. As this turn, I am going to stay in and click Scald once again, as he does bring in his Pex. This turn, I'm going to switch back out into my Uxie, as he's just going to fire off a Scald. And I believe here I just go for the Yawn, as he goes hard into his Taunt. And this turn, I go to U-turn on his Taunt. Again, like he loses little from clicking Taunt. He kind of has to, because he wants to prevent rocks from going up, as I'm not rocks on my Uxie. So that's really nice for me. Here he's going to go for the Icy Wind and miss my Chomp as I get my rocks up. And that's tough for him, because he doesn't gain information. Icy Wind it's not even going to do half to my Garchomp, because he's a fatter variant. He's not like invested in his special attack and max bit F, but it would have given him information on Chomp and potentially changed the way he played. So that's certainly unfortunate for him, but I don't see it as game defining by any means, and you're going to see why later on. I end up healing my Chomp up to a nice amount of health. But this turn I'm going to edge as he goes for the Icy Wind. So that turn he went for Icy Wind again. It did 37%. So had he hit the first, I would have been down to around like 28 or something like that. So he's going to hit the Icy Wind again, and I'm going to hit him with a Stone Edge. And after the burn, he's going to be left at 3%. So this turn, instead of staying in with Garchomp and spamming rocks and potentially in the hope that he will, defog and I'll keep rocks up, I'm going to make the hard switch to my Mawile, as it gets Mawile in on the turn that he defogs and dies to burn, or it gets Mawile in on the turn that he doubles here out into more than likely Gallade or Comfy, expecting the Stone Edge. So that is the play I choose to make, as I do go out to my Mawile here, and he's just going to bring in his Comfy. Now here I think I clicked the Mega button, and then before I clicked Player Off, I deliberated on the turn, and I unclicked it, I cancelled the turn, and then I clicked Player Off again, and I didn't click the Mega button. So it doesn't really end up mattering too much, but it's funny because Player Off only does 32 to this Comfy. But this turn I'm going to Mega up, and he is going to sub. So he sub Leech Seed. Pretty interesting Comfy to bring to this one, but he's just going to sub up again, and I'm just going to knock his sub out with Player Off. And this turn I think he goes for Leech Seed, expecting me to switch out, but I am just going to take him out here with the Player Off. So that's Comfy down. all of a sudden Garchomp and Buzzwole looking even nicer. So Buzzwole's actually looking really nice now. If I can just remove Taunt, and Taunt's pretty low, so I should be able to. If I can get a sub up, Buzzwole's looking really dangerous. So he's going to bring in Mamo here. I'm just going to switch hard out into my Buzzwole here as he goes hard out into his Taunt. I don't really know why he made this play. He made this play so he could defog, but I feel like he could have just gone into. He could have just went hard into Taunt anyway and defogged, like, instead of going hard on Mamo and causing it to take the chip from rocks. I'm not really sure. Have to ask him about that. But anyway, he ends up doubling into Taunt just so he can defog. And as a result, Taunt is going to die the following turn to burn. So Taunt's down. That's one less roadblock to Buzzwole winning this game. And I got my Chomp inside. So Chomp prevents Volk from coming in, which is big. It either encourages Mamo or Ice Punch Gallade to come in. Both of which I have counterplay to in my Uxie. So I'm going to switch out into my Uxie here as he does just go for the Ice Shard here. Ice Shard, like, it seemed like an obvious play from Aki. Like, if you're watching this, you might think, oh, it's such an obvious play, why didn't you predict? But you got to understand the mind games in this situation. Like, we've played each other so many times. I know he can be aggressive, he knows I can be aggressive. We both know we can play conservative. So these turns there's more to them than you'd think just at face value. So he's gonna switch out into his Volcarona as I just go for the Yawn, as this is gonna give me momentum, but I don't want to risk taking a Bug Buzz. That's important. I want to keep my Uxie healthy, as he's gonna make a nice double into his Volk, back into his Mamo, not expecting me not to stay in with my Uxie versus a potential Bug Buzz from his Volcarona. So this is going to put us in the same spot. I'm going to switch back out into my Uxie, and he's just going to go for the Ice Shot again, getting a nice 11% off there. This turn I'm going to U-turn out into my Buzzwole, as he's actually going to reveal the Curse, and this is really interesting, Curse Mamo. So his Curse Ice Shard, he's going to have AQ, and the last move I'm not sure. He reveals to be Protector actually, and this turn I sub, so sub obviously covering the Volk coming in and taking a Drain Punch or something. I haven't revealed any stab on any fighting coverage yet on Buzzwole. I haven't revealed anything, so it was well within possibility that he could have just gone out to Volk expecting the fighting move there. But I'm gonna sub up as he protects, and this turn I'm just gonna click Leech Life as he's gonna go hard out into his Gallade, and this thing takes 43. This is yet another defensive fighting Psychic type. So Aki following in the shoes of Matty, bringing his fighting Psychic Mega as a defensive variant. This turn I'm gonna switch out to Uxie. I knew this man would be Wisp, there was just no point risking. Like, Zen Headbutt bounces off. Well, it doesn't bounce off, but it didn't do much at all, and I would have gained it all back with Leech and lefties, but chances are he was Wisp by the way he was playing it, and that is going to be revealed here. He is Wisp, and this turn I think I'm just going to go for the Yawn here. I think I either Yawn or I U-turn. Yeah, I Yawn here, as his Gallade is going to be forced to switch out now, as he's going to bring in his Pex, and this is going to give me the opportunity I've been looking for. I'm going to bring in my Garchomp right now, and I'm going to set up my rocks. Now he's going to go for the Skull, and he's going to fail to burn my Chomp, and I'm going to switch out to my Pex, as this is actually what Aki's been wanting. He's been wanting my Pex inside versus his Pex, so he could reveal the tech. Again, taking a leaf out of Parker's book, he's chosen to trap my Pex and open up an endgame for his Volk, which is really nice. And at this point, I'm going to speed it up because this is just going to drag on. This is going to drag on for a very long time, even longer than my game versus Parker, because he has no way of actually whittling my health down. It's not like he has Curse. He's just relying on a PP stall fest. So I'm going to skip through because it's going to be very boring to watch otherwise. And we're going to get to, okay, alright, so we're going to, I've skipped a little bit too far ahead here, but when he takes out my Pex with his own Pex, this allows me to bring back in my Uxie. Alright, so I've got it back up to the point where this exchange is about to end. So Pharaoh, so his Pex is about to take out my Pex, and at this point I'm thinking, alright, now that Pex is gone, I need to prioritize keeping my Garchomp healthy for his Volk, because if that thing sets up, it can really get out of control. So I'm going to take this opportunity once my Pex goes down to go into my Uxie and sack it off with a Z Memento to revive up my Garchomp to a nice amount of health. It doesn't really matter if my Garchomp ends up getting burnt by this Pex. It's more about it being at a healthy amount of HP, because I do have the SD on it, and I can always boost up and just destroy the Volk with Stone Edge. So I'm going to bring my Garchomp back up to a nice amount. I'm going to go for the EQ here as he goes for the Skull and fails to burn me again. So my Garchomp's getting nice and fortunate with these burns versus the Pex, as he's going to bring in his Mamo here on the EQ and take 41 from that. So it does a lot. He's max HP. He's got a lot of bulk on this Mamo, but because I do have the Buzzwole that I do have here, it's really going to give him a hard time having an effect versus me. So I'm gonna go for the Leech Life here as he goes into his Volk. He actually goes into his Volk, which I found interesting. But gonna go into my Chomp here as he goes to the Rest. So he's actually Rest, like a fat Rest Volk, which is really interesting. So I'm gonna go for EQ as he is going to Sleep Talk the Rest. So he's Rest Sleep Talk. He actually ends up being I think Quiver Dance and Fiery Dance, I think, or he's Fiery Dance plus some other attack after the game. And it's a really creative Volk set here, a really nice way of taking advantage of Toxic on my Pex. Like, it's a nice way of getting around Toxic on Pex. Granted, his Pex was designed to remove my Pex, but yeah, it's a nice way of getting around status, and he can always rest up reliably. So it's not going to help him a lot here though, because this Garchomp was designed to beat any Volk by like Specs in Power Ice or something like that. So he's going to go back out into his Pex, sack it off basically to the Garchomp, and this is going to afford him, I think, his Gallade or his Mamo here. Yeah, he goes into Gallade here, and I'm just going to go back out into my Maw here as he goes for Drain Punch, and that is not a 2 KO. So this turn he is going to go out into his Moth, and I think I just go for the Play Rough here, and I take out his Volcarona. He's going to go into his Gallade here, and I'm just going to click Sucker Punch. No, I'm going to click Knock Off here actually, but he flinches me with the Zen. So this turn I'm going to reveal Sucker, knock out his Gallade, and Mamo's going to come in here. I'm going to click Knock this turn because I want to remove this thing's lefties, and his best kind of play, I guess, is going for the Curse in the hope that I miss Play Rough, but Knock into Sucker is just going to take out the Mamo there, and that is going to be a pretty convincing win with more in this endgame. So I was definitely happy with the way the team performed in this one. Aki got pretty unlucky with not getting Scald Burns with his Toxapex, but like I said, I don't think with my Garchomp having SD, it was going to be tough even with Burns once it was back up to a nice healthy amount for his Volcarona to have any chance of actually boosting through Garchomp, given that I was max BDF. But yeah, it was definitely a fun one. I was happy with the way Buzzwole worked out. I think Aki brought a sick team. Defensive Gallade with Zen, Wisp and Drain Punch was really nice. Bringing the Pex was really creative again. Block is not a set you see often. The Wakanton kind of surprised me a bit. I felt Z had a lot more impact, but it worked out for him a lot in those first few turns, causing him to get some nice chip off versus my Thundy. And the Curse Momo was sick. I've never seen that. It didn't really do anything this game, but like the set itself was really cool. So it was cool to see a more defensively inclined Momo in this game. So yeah, congrats to Aki for the great season, making it to finals as he usually tends to do in the leagues that he's in. It was a fun one. And yeah, that's going to be UDL Season 1. So this was a lot of fun. Shout out to Maddie and Carson for putting on a great show this season with the league. It was definitely a nice way to round out the generation. I've played a lot of draft games in Gen 7. It's been years now that I've been playing, so it's interesting seeing it come to an end, and it's going to be fun and exciting to see what Gen 8 holds for the draft format. I got a lot of plans. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously we've got DPL around the corner, so that should be really interesting, seeing how DPL adapts to having the new Gen 8 meta as part of its core kind of mechanic in it. So yeah, it'll be interesting, and lots to look forward to. Hope you guys did enjoy this one. Definitely drop a like on the video if you did, and let me know what you guys thought of the UDL season in the comments below. Let me know what you guys are kind of most hyped for in regards to Gen 8 draft. Me personally, I'm looking forward to seeing how a Galar only league runs. I'm curious to see how the meta develops. I think like in the long run, we're all going to be playing in national decks. We're all going to be playing with all the mons. It'll be interesting to see how all the mechanics fit into that. But I think in the long run, we're going to be using all the mons available. But it will be interesting to see how in the early stages, leagues that have Galar only decks it's going to be, yeah, I'm curious to see how the meta develops. I think that's going to be a lot of fun experimenting with that. So, but I'm curious to hear what you guys are most excited for in the draft league format with Gen 8 just around the corner. Let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I'll catch you next time.